my life was slipping away from me. And I thought I would die. That's the truth. In 2019, I was so ill, couldn't walk, hardly talk, down 9 stone weight. The drink had finally got the better of me, and you can't fight it. You cannot beat it. All you can do is manage it. In 2019, I had this terrible, terrible pain in my stomach. I had a massive distended stomach, looked like I was pregnant. Couldn't walk properly, couldn't do anything. I used to lie in bed and drink and be sick, and it was just a horrendous way of living. I had rats in the flat. It got worse and worse and worse. My digestive system was done in. I wasn't eating. Couldn't answer the phone really. It didn't exist as far as people were concerned. They'd given up on me, I think. A few missed calls from parents and my daughter, and that was about it really. And I was really suffering, really, really at the bottom of the bottle, as it were. In the end, I managed to ring 999. It was my only escape from this torture I was living in. Ambulance crew turned up. I remember the paramedics looked at me in shock, actually. I heard one of them say the other, whispered in his ear, basically, I could hear it, this guy's very, very poorly. Straight down to the main hospital in Newcastle. The RVI was in the acute medical ward. Didn't know what was going on. I had no idea. But I knew I had this huge stomach. I knew I was feeling unwell. I knew I felt like I was going to die. A couple of days in there, I felt terrible. I said to one of the nurses, I think I'm going to withdraw. I had nothing to drink, obviously. They said, oh, you're fine. I had this drip coming into me. It was saline drip or something. And something was going out of me. It was all sorts of tubes and whatnot going on. Whether they gave me something for withdrawal, I don't know. I still didn't know at that point what was wrong. I think it was a Wednesday. The Friday evening came along. Nobody had actually attended to me in any way. I was supposed to be really said, stay where you are. You're going to be maybe moved to another ward, this sort of thing. So about 11 o'clock on the Friday night, this Chinese doctor came, and I forget, he was very tall for a Chinese guy, just a young fella. All people look young to me now, professionals anyway. However, he came with a male nurse and he had this kit, a very big long needle. Didn't really explain what he was going to do. All he said to me was, I'm going to numb this part of your stomach, which was the left side of the abdomen. Put a cross with a black pen. And he said, I'm going to try and numb it with an injection, which is painful anyway. And then he's got this long needle, it must have been 12, 14 inches long, thin thing. And he pushed it right in my stomach, just straight in, poof. The pain was excruciating. And he attached the end of this, a bag, like a catheter bag, and I immediately saw, as soon as this needle went in, this fluid was coming out. A clear fluid, very sort of urine colour. And the bag had a little tap at the bottom of it. It was coming out really quickly. And little bits floating, little white bits floating in it. What the hell's going on here? He put some tape over it. He said that'll have to stay in there for about 8 hours. 8 hours? Now, he didn't tell me much about what was going on. Anyway, I spoke to the male nurse. He said, we're taking some fluid off you. But prior to taking a little sample off, then he said, we're going to take all this fluid off because this is a site-use fluid caused by problems with the liver. So I said, what's wrong with my liver? He said, well, I don't know exactly what's wrong yet. The doctor will come and see you later on and explain things. Anyway, that night went past. I was on this drip for dripping out of the body drain for about 8 hours. I felt a little bit better next day because I've been living with this huge, huge stomach. I couldn't walk properly, the weight of it and the pain of it, you know. And that's all I knew. A couple of days later, this doctor came in, a female doctor, must have been about 50-ish, 50 odd, pulled the curtains on, very matter-of-factly just said, how are you feeling? I said, I'm feeling pretty rough, but I feel better than I did when I first came in. So I need to tell you you've got cirrhosis of the liver. And she didn't really say much more, and just disappeared. So I was emotionally, wow, being hit by a train, really. So I'm lying there thinking, Jesus Christ, I hadn't been in hospital since when I was 21 when I broke my arm, when I first joined the police, but other than that, I've never been in hospital. I've been there for a couple of days or anything. Will I ever get out of here? So I didn't know who to ring. I was in panic. I should ring my parents, I should ring my daughter about the cirrhosis. I never thought I'd get this level of illness. I was emotionally just blown up, as it were, you know. I've got to live with it for the moment. Now, I started to look at, how long will I live? Nobody would give me an answer. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, I was released from hospital for a short time. And there was a letter that my parents wrote. I didn't go back to my place, because my place had rats in, there's no electricity, there's all sorts of problems in there. I'd be living like a tramp. Nothing against tramps, but you know what I'm saying. Living in squalor. It was dangerous to be in for infection, that sort of thing. So my parents said there was a letter waiting for me from head of acute medicine, saying that I had decompensated liver cirrhosis. I don't know, any of this was decompensation, this sort of thing. I knew liver cirrhosis was damage to the liver. And I sort of looked that up, and I spoke to a few people, and the prognosis was you may live 2 years, nothing further with this decompensation, because that's when the liver's failed. You've got all of this ascites fluid, you've got the cirrhotic small liver, it becomes shrunk. The problems with the portal vein, had portal hypertension, which is high blood pressure inside the liver. Everything. Tonic-clonic seizures, very high liver function test enzyme problems, everything you could think of. So went back again a few weeks later to a different hospital, liver specialist hospital, where they drained me again of this fluid. I took 26 layers off the first time. I was 26 kilos in weight. And basically, I went back again to a different hospital, and they took more off, and I had seizures in hospital. My sodium level had gone right down. And I got taken to the ICU at 4 o'clock in the morning. They put this big needle down, and I was in ICU for about a week, trying to get the sodium level up. And it was just horrendous. There's no good news at all. You know, was I on my last legs? I thought I was on my last legs. Went to January, I took more fluid off. I had this massive hernia, which is split a little bit. Blood came out of that, and I had that stitched up for the first time. Then I spoke to a liver consultant. It was just hitting on COVID now, January 2020, which is the illest I was apparently through this whole time of illness, most poorly. And more fluid coming off. Went back home again, went back in again, because the fluid just wasn't draining away at all. They gave me these water tablets, which should in some circumstances take away this fluid, but it didn't work with me. So the next thing was serious talks about liver transplants and all that sort of thing. I'm thinking, wow. But so we can do a TIPS operation, which will put a shunt in the portal vein to open it up. Imagine living through all of this, all because I drank lager, too much of it. I think, well, I haven't got long to live, might as well go and have this operation. So just my luck, it didn't work properly. The ascites fluid was still coming back. It should work in 99% of cases, but I was the 1%, it didn't work. In between that, this hernia split again, and I had to be taken to the resus department of a hospital in Northumberland, where the surgeon said if this doesn't stitch up properly and hold, then there's nothing more I can do. Because when the ascites fluid flows out of your body, you get an infection in the peritoneum that will kill you within a very short time. I was emotionally completely and utterly wrecked. So they put this shunt in to my liver, it didn't work, and then later on they put another one in, and it did work a little bit. So for about 2 years I had constant bad news, constant, it's not going to work, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. Depression, suicidal thoughts, all of this sort of thing came in. And it wasn't until the second shunt worked a bit and the ascites fluid started to go away a little bit, I could actually get out of a wheelchair then and try and pull myself round, try and get a bit stronger, trying to eat. I went out at 9 stone, I'm 6 foot plus. Absolutely horrendous. So this is what you've got to think about. Alcohol will take you past the brink of death. It will kill you if you continue to drink heavily. Think about that. You cannot beat this. You've got to stop it. And you've got to stop it for life. That's the only way you can do it. I'll help you do it. I've got a one-to-one mentoring service. I'm trying to help as many people as possible. I can't help everybody. It's impossible. But I'll help as many as I can. And that's what I'm here for. I've been to the bottom of the bottle and beyond. And the shock when you take in the hospital and you're told you've got all these illnesses and all these problems, when you start out having a few quiet drinks, it doesn't seem possible, does it? It didn't really hit spirits or wines, anything like that. Just lagers, beers, Guinness, normal, everyday working man's drink, really. You know, what I'm trying to say is nothing special. I'm nothing special. The drinks weren't anything special, but it caught up with me. And it catches up with millions of people across the world every single year. And it's getting worse. Trust me, it's getting worse. When you've been in one of these liver wards, you think, wow, this is a major problem in the UK. So stop it taking you to the brink of death, or to the edge of life. get off it, be healthy. Subscribe to the channel, get involved, do lives at 9 o'clock at night, and I'll see you in there, and let's get ourselves back on track. Speak soon.